real number properties, okay? And the very first property that we're going to discuss is the commutative property, okay? Now, if I said I commute from Tyler to Longview every day, what am I saying? So I'm moving, right? I'm commuting. So I want you guys to think of the word commute and equate that to the numbers are moving. So notice right here, I have A plus B, and then I have B plus A. All right, if we want to put numbers to go in there, all right, we could say like 4 plus 7 equals 7 plus 4. It doesn't matter which order they're in, they're equal to each other if you're adding them, okay? Now, if I wanted to say what property best fits this, this is the commutative property, but we're going to write commutative property, but more specifically, it's of addition. So when you guys are doing your assignment and you find the commutative property of addition, make sure you label the whole thing. It's not just the commutative property, it's the commutative property of addition. Okay? So, I could use two exact same numbers here as an example for multiplication. And how would I associate, what a property, how would I write that out if you saw that happening? How would you name it? It's not just the commutative property, it's what?
Commutative property of multiplication.
That's right, the commutative property of multiplication. So I want to make sure you write this down in your journal so that you're aware that it's more than just one word. You got to have a series of words that describe an expression. Okay? All right, now we're going to move down to the next one. All right. Okay, who here has a job? You have a job? You have a job? Okay. The people you work with are your coworkers, right? That's the people you work with. When I had my first job at Sears, I had a little name tag, all right, with Jeff on it, okay? But it had associate on it, okay? And so everybody that worked in the men's department where I worked, they were my associates. That was the group of people that I worked with. So when you think of the associative property, I want you to think, how are the numbers grouped together, all right? So when you think of group, think of parentheses, okay? So whenever you move different parentheses, not the numbers, but you move the parentheses, you're dealing with the associative property. So look at these parentheses right here. You see how they've been moved? The numbers have stayed the same. A, B, C, same order. The numbers have not moved, but the parentheses have moved. All right? So let's say 2 plus 3 plus 5 equals 2 plus, and let's group the 3 and the 5 together. Right, here's an example. All right? Where the parentheses have moved, but not the numbers. That's the associative property of addition. Same concept with multiplication, right? Same concept. So if I use those exact same numbers, if I put the 2 and the 3 and the 5, and I set that equal to 2 times 3 times 5, but the first one, where do I group it? I group it around the 2 and the 3, and the other one, I group it around the 3 and the 5. They're still equal, but I just moved the parentheses. So how would I label that? What would I call that?
Associative property of multiplication.
Very good. Associative property of multiplication. So I just want you all to be specific when you look at one of your problems, like which one is this best fit. Okay? Just be as specific as possible. Alright. Now, we're going to get to some shortened versions of this. Okay? Right here, this basically means any number plus 0 is itself. So Jacob plus 0 is Jacob. 0 plus Jacob is still Jacob. Okay? So, right here, you might be tempted to say, this is going to be the identity property of addition. Right? You might be tempted to say that. We're going to shorten it. Alright? Because this is also referred to, alright? I'll use a number real quick. 5 plus 0 equals 5. This is referred to as the additive identity. Okay? So instead of having to write the identity property of addition, you can just write this is the additive identity. Okay? Alright, now we're on to the multiplication. Alright? The multiplication identity, how do we write that? So let me tell you something. If I had, forget example, 7 times 1 equals 7, that's an example. Alright, any number times 1 is itself. Okay? So Brooklyn times 1 is Brooklyn, that's right. Okay? Now, this is a new word. Do not try to say this fast 3 times. In fact, I probably won't have any volunteers wanting to pronounce that. But hooked on phonics worked for you, so try. That's right, say it louder. Multiplicative is correct. It's the multiplicative identity. Try to say that fast 3 times, huh? I didn't think so. Alright? So this is the multiplicative identity. This is the additive identity. Okay? Alright. Now we're going to scroll down, dealing with inverses. Okay? Now, this right here is what's referred to as the additive inverse. Okay? That's called the additive inverse. Now, what is the additive inverse? So think about it this way. If you had $100 and you spent $100, well, guess what? You're back to nothing. All right? Additive inverses always equal what? When you add them together, they always equal 0. Okay? I remember I had a teacher in algebra, and she never subtracted something from both sides. All right? She always did the additive inverse. All right? Over and over again. She's like, what do you do? I'm like, you subtract 3 from each side. She's like, no. You apply the additive inverse to each side. Okay, thanks, appreciate it. Now, the next one, what do you think we're going to call the next one? Kind of in relationship to what we just did the previous. That's right, the multiplicative inverse. So now, parents ask you, what did you learn in school today? You can say, we learned about the multiplicative inverse. And they probably say, huh? What? Multiplicative inverse. My board was kind of wigging out there. All right. So the multiplicative inverse is any number, give me a number, any number, 2, times its inverse, which is 1 over 2 equals 1. Any number times its inverse, all right, is equal to 1. That's referred to as the multiplicative inverse. Now, the commutative, the associative, the identity, and the inverse, all of those properties both have what? Addition and multiplication. The last one is just itself. There's no 2 different properties. It's just the one. What's the last one? It's just the distributive. There's no distributive property of addition or distributive property. You're dealing with that A being multiplied to both numbers. So if I had, say, the number 5, and I had, say, the number 10 plus 2, I'm going to distribute or multiply the 5 to both of those numbers, and you would get 5 times 10 plus 5 times 2. And that's the distributive property. Okay? So that's really the easiest one to label. When you see it on your paper, there's one of the problems that has the distributive property being used. Okay, so all you have to write is distributive property, and you're done. What I would like you all to do, independently now, is look at your problems. Okay, so I'll scroll down here. All these problems, let me zoom out. You're going to look at all these problems. You're going to use the chart. You're going to name the property illustrated by each equation. All right, and make sure you feel like you can argue your answer. Okay, so if I say you're wrong, feel like you can argue against me. Okay, and that's it for today. All right, we're going to look really quickly here at one of problems Ariel has chosen for us, number 14. We're going to look at that real closely right here. Okay, what I'd like you to do while you're doing number 14 is I would like you to call this number A, this number B, and this number C. Okay, so we're not highlighting, okay? That's my A, that's my B, that's my C. All right. Now, what am I going to label 12B? B. What am I going to label 10B? A. What am I going to label 7B? C. So now, if you look at it carefully, since I color-coded it, that, oh, hold on, right, blue, there we go, blue, and then I have green, okay? So I did have blue, red, green, now I have red, blue, green. Now, one more thing. Look at this right here. And this right here. What stayed the same? No. C stayed the same. What else? The parentheses also stayed the same. The parentheses, they didn't move. They stayed the same. However, look what happened. We had what? A plus B, and then we had B plus A. And so if I just gave you the problem, A plus B equals B plus A, what would you say that is? The commutative property of addition. And that's the answer. Boom. The commutative property of addition. Now, what did you notice I did before I started talking to you about what the answer was? What was the first thing that I did? Label things, color them, see if they moved, all right? If the numbers move, it's the commutative property, right? And this one is addition. If the parentheses move, it's the associative property. It's like what the grouping is changing, okay? All right? I'm going to go ahead and shut this one down for the day.